avoiding any eye contact before the start of this one. This has to be the marquee matchup for us as the headphones come out for Hans Niemann. Going to play with the white pieces, handshakes.
Sporting a fresh new haircut. Yeah, the headphones on. Doesn't want to be distracted. The handshake extended the G. All four boards, as Peter and Judith pointed out, hitting a pawn. And I would say it's a generational thing, maybe. Often the slightly older players, Magnus, he likes to talk about having a solid structure, blocked games, slower kind of pace, and he can control things more. Other players brought their knight out instead, where maybe that knight is misplaced. It's kind of a pin if that knight steps out, as we saw on other boards, since the b7 pawn is still vulnerable. And if we go back instead, the pawn steps out, and to catch up, quick early pawn trade. And Magnus is thinking here, he loves to bring his queen out early, Tanya. It's a bit of his trademark of his in freestyle chess, but now he's paused.
And sometimes that even comes at the cost of a pawn. This one also comes at the cost of a pawn. It is an early gambit. Magnus doesn't decide to take the f5 pawn, but opens up the bishop, attacking the soft b2 square. And I want to also add to the g4 point that you were talking about earlier. I think with freestyle chess, it's so much about quick piece development. It not only opened up the long-range bishop, but also the queen and the rook for an additional rook lift later on. And now Magnus finally recapturing that pawn and opening up the g line. More captures to follow, David.
It does look that way. My prediction of the early queen sortie from black not coming out. This time, Magnus goes for a very solid structure. What do we think? Draw in this game would be fine for both players, but obviously they both really want to take each other down.
Magnus versus Hans never ends in a draw, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I would agree with your sentiment that it would be fine if that was the case, but I will also agree with Tanya that that's not going to happen. Somebody's winning this one. Okay, rook's off the board early. No kingside castling, no castling to the right here for either side. Of course, still flexible on the other side. They can just switch their kings and rooks around, get castled, but yet to commit. Very solid start to this game. Still plenty of time on the clocks as well. Exactly. I mean, Hans Niemann is moving so quickly, but so akin to how he would normally push the pace in a game. Now already has a minute advantage to Magnus Carlsen, and that's, I think, how you have to play against Magnus, right? You don't want to be whittling pieces down, entering mid and endgame states, even on the clock. That is an advantage that you always want to build for yourselves.
I am liking what Magnus has done in the opening already. You know, with the queen you mentioned, it has sort of found an active square. Not only the g line was eyeing the c4 square, the bishop opened as well. The other bishop ready to jump out to h5, David, given the opportunity to find some targets. It just looks slightly more active for black, or is it too soon to call?
Yeah, I mean, I think black's in a very healthy position here. I don't see any problem pieces. One question will be what to do with the cornered knight, where to develop it. The other knight can come out via the edge of the board if it needs to. There's other ways later, just by pushing the pawn perhaps. I don't see any problem pieces, and that's normally a sign that, for black at least, the opening's been relatively successful. But we'll see, it's still early days. Maybe the white queen will come out with a bit of power, ask black some awkward questions about this undefended pawn. White will be slightly ahead in development since he started with the first move. Extra 2 minutes on the clock as well for Hans Niemann. That's going to play a factor later. Most definitely. And now Magnus Carlsen, he does get that cornered knight into the game. Hans Niemann will follow suit, but they both prefer
disappearing. Black's king, though, so stable. Black's rook a bit more active. Does feel like this is Magnus grind territory.
That's exactly what it is. Expecting this one to extend as long as Magnus feels like he has a way to win.
Yeah, we should mention opposite color bishops. If rooks disappear, even at the cost of one of the white pawns, maybe the B pawn, for example, it's a draw. Dead draw on the blockade on the dark squares for Hans Niemann. But he's very much the one trying to desperately get the rooks off. Magnus now flustered. Will we see two legends lose on time? Surely not.
I mean, that's the story of Weiss and House, right? It's where giants bleed. We saw that in the first slam as well. Now, I really like the piece activity that Hans has. He can slide the rook over all the way to the other side, start targeting that 8-7 pawn. He changes his mind. He comes back with the king. He's offering a repetition right now to Magnus.
Yeah, end of the day, we said Hans
Magnus
might be happy with a draw.
is going
Hans
for
is
it.
very happy with a draw. At
And that's
this
it.
point, they are going to offer the draw. The handshake is extended. It will be our only drawn game in round one, as the others concluded just moments ago. So 3 decisive victories, while these two will share half a point apiece through our first round of the day.
Yeah, I think a fair result. Ultimately, they both played very, very well. Magnus with some maybe half chances, but Hans putting up the barricades and defending well.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those, it looked really good for Hans through about the halfway point in terms of